His first play for the Mercury would be Julius Caesar, but with a showman's twist.
He was going to do an idea, he was going to do a show against the Nazi regime. And the first idea that came to mind, I was there, we'll do it as the Nuremberg Festival, all with lights, with no scenery whatsoever.
An imitation of the lights that Hitler used at Nuremberg. They went straight up in the air.
In 1937, Hitler and war were the diet in the newsreels. If Wells could bring out the dread in his audience, he would have his hit. If he couldn't, well, that was his own dread. "I'm doomed," Wells would say in the middle of some rehearsal. Then he'd throw out a scene or refuse to work on it. By the night of the dress rehearsal, Caesar was full of holes.
The curtain came down, and there was no applause at all. The audience got up and walked out. And I vividly recall Orson standing in the center of the stage in a great coat he had, I believe, that he was Brutus. The company lined up beside him on either side of him, waiting for the curtain to go up and taking a bow, which never occurred. Into this stunned atmosphere rushed Hank Sember, who was one of our publicity men. And he said to Orson, "We didn't get a call." Whereupon Orson, without moving, formed a great glob of saliva in his mouth and spit right into Hank Sember's eye.
The play was in trouble, and Wells was out of time. Those were always the conditions for his best work. There was a scene he hadn't even played that night, about a minor character, Cinna the poet, an innocent who's attacked by a mob. Now Wells brought the scene back, dressed the mob in Depression-era clothes, and gave them the stage in a swirl of menace, straight out of the headlines from Europe.
You would have seen this poor fellow walk into a pool of light, mumble a line or two, and then gradually people start circling around him, start coming out of the darkness.
I became aware that they were beginning to surround me. The lights were changing, and as they completely surrounded me, they rushed me down the ramp back from which I came.
He's literally swallowed up by this mob, and off stage was a Hammond organ, and all the bass notes were hit at that moment, signifying the slaughter of Cinna.
It stopped the show. I mean, to use good old show business terms, it stopped the show. The applause lasted some nights for 3 minutes. You know, that's a whole evening.
He created for his audience the same kind of tension and overwhelming dread that the Shakespeare's audience had when it saw the original production. That Julius Caesar, that production of Julius Caesar is still regarded as, I think anyway, and I know a number of people who feel this way, still regarded as the single most important production of Shakespeare ever done on the American stage.
Wells was 23 years old. The editors of Time magazine put him on the cover. "The brightest moon that has risen over Broadway in years," they wrote. Wells should feel at home in the sky, for the sky is the only limit to his ambition.